A adolescente Isa Holmes leva uma vida típica de ensino médio americano, não fosse por um detalhe. No meio do refeitório ou num piquenique, basta um pensamento sobre germes para que o transtorno obsessivo-compulsivo, o TOC, faça a menina entrar em espiral.
Isa, yeah.
O Desafio é centro do mais recente romance de John Green, que acaba de se tornar filme do streaming Max, Tartarugas Até Lá Embaixo. Meu nome é Thiago Gelli e para esse Em Cartaz conversei com a diretora Hannah Marks e com o próprio John Green sobre TOC, literatura young adult e o filme. E ainda deu tempo de bater um papo com Isabella Merced, a estrela no meio de tudo isso.
Well, John, you've talked before about how the portrayals of OCD in media can be either oversimplified or romanticized. So how do you feel this story refutes those stereotypes? And then, Hannah, what was it like to translate that into the screen?
Yeah, I do feel like OCD has often been misrepresented in media and in ways that have been quite harmful. And I really hope that this movie is the beginning of reversing that. For me, this is a really true, honest story of what it's like to have OCD. When I was watching Hannah's movie, I felt like for lack of a better term, seen. I felt like, my own experience of OCD was so much closer to this movie than to anything I've seen before. So I think it's just a really special film, and I'm really grateful to Hannah for making it.
And I'm really grateful to John for the beautiful book. I started this journey as a fan of John's and the book. So for me, it was just about trying to keep it as faithful as possible because I knew John included a lot of personal experiences. And I myself connect with Asa and Asa's mother and Daisy and Davis. So just trying to approach it from understanding the characters and being as true to them as I could.
And this ends up labeled as a young adult story, and young adult is this huge field both in cinema and in literature, but there's still some pushback from people who still don't take it seriously enough. So to both of you, why do you think that this format is such a good conduit for stories even as complex as this?
I think for me, the stakes feel so high when you're young and you're experiencing things for the first time, and that's really important in cinema, to feel like you're watching something where everything really matters. I know that's how I felt when I was younger and how I want to continue to feel as I grow older. So I hope we can destigmatize that, because I do think young adult movies and books can be for everybody. I certainly think this movie is for more than just teenage girls.
Yeah, I do. I think it's a movie for parents and for anybody who supports and loves someone living with mental illness or going through adolescence. For me, what's attractive about those kinds of stories is, like Hannah said, so much is happening for the first time, but also there's a lack of ironic distance in the way that young people approach questions of meaning and self that's really appealing to me. And then I think it makes for appealing storytelling. And so that's a big part of the attraction for me.
And John, as Hannah was touching on before, your work is really generation defining, and many readers who fell in love with it at an early age are now adults and come up to you, I imagine. So how does it feel now to meet people who you've impacted and are kind of living proof that you've helped people with your work?
It's a really beautiful experience. It never gets old, and I never stop being grateful for it. That somebody would give me and my work a seat at the table in their lives in those really important formative years of high school and college. It just means the world to me. And then to see them grow up, it feels weird, a little weird to say this, but I feel quite proud of them. Whenever somebody tells me that they cared about my work when they were young and now they're older and doing well, I just feel, or even if they're not doing well, I just feel quite proud of them, that they're still here, that they're trying to find a way through the world. Like, it just makes me really, really grateful.
That's how I feel about our actors. I feel like a proud parent with them. I feel like
Yeah.
and that's a very cool experience.
Anxiety is so universal, even if you aren't diagnosed with clinical anxiety or OCD. So what was it like for you to relate to this character, and how her experiences, what did you learn from this character?
It definitely helped me through my mental health journey. I think, being around someone as like smart as John and as wise as Hannah, and people who are very like determined to get this story right. I learned a lot in the process. I also studied psychology for 2 years at a community college, and that was amazing. I learned a lot there, but that was prior to this, I think. So it just kind of was like a good baseline understanding for me to have, and like be able to talk about it in the right way. The book was there, but on top of that, I guess I learned how to be kind to myself in a way. Like, this was the most I had worked on a movie. I was working in every scene except for the flashbacks, which there weren't a lot of. So I was definitely stressed out, and I would definitely cry after certain days and feel like I had no time to like really water my friendships or, personal relationships. But it was all worth it in the end, because part of even my suffering contributed to Aza's portrayal.
And the other question, young adult is a massive field in both literature and film, but it still gets some pushback from people that don't really take it seriously yet. So to you, why is this genre a good conduit for stories, even stories as complicated as these?
I think the story is really mature and handles really difficult subjects in a non-lighthearted way. I mean, there are lighthearted moments and there's definitely comedy in it, but just because the story features a young adult doesn't mean it's only for young adults. I think that's a very weird thing. And I also am a big advocate for treating and talking and respecting people who are younger than me the same as I would somebody who's older than me. I think we should really consider validating validating more than other stories, the ones of younger people, because that's how we help them. We make them seen, we make them feel heard. The more people who talk about this, the more the conversation is going to stir up something that will probably change the atmosphere around it.